Hello and welcome to the 6-Star Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Aveline Clark, and you're about to listen to another incredible episode with an amazing human all about how they are making a difference in the world using their passion, their purpose, and the alignment of their genius. Because I believe that we make the greatest impact in our life when we combine our passion with our purpose and our genius. That's where the magic happens. This conversation is going to be good because they always are. There's so much to gain from these. They're beautiful, they're inspiring, and I invite you to open up to see the possibilities of what you can do in your life too. Enjoy. And my next guest is Dave Vrijsen, the CEO of Sageflow Global and also Skillflow, which we'll learn more about in this conversation. He's a consultant with a difference. And when I first met Dave, what was really remarkable for me was his depth of knowledge and passion connected to his purpose. I come across so many different business owners every day. We know that there's a big difference between the big corporates and a small entrepreneur. Yet what Dave does is brings a very human, purposeful approach to the work he does in corporates. And he's here to make a difference, and he's doing that across the globe, having been born in Europe, residing in Australia, and serving clients across the world. He's a lovely human. He's got a lot of passion and big things to achieve, which he's doing, and it's very exciting. So anyway, I'll let you get into this one. It's very, very fascinating. This is Dave Vrijsen. Hello and welcome. Here we are on the podcast again, Dave. It is so lovely to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Ev. Thank you very much for having me.
It's great having you. It's been a couple of years when you came on one of the earliest episodes of the podcast. And, we've grown and evolved since then, but our friendship and relationship has also grown and evolved. And it's just a timely moment for you to come back on and share how you're making an impact in the world. So let's get started and learn more about you. So can you share with the listeners whereabouts you are in the world?
Originally from Belgium in Europe, where I grew up, before starting my international travel through to Spain, Switzerland, the UK, and finally ended up in Australia as of 2010. So this is our second home now.
Wonderful. That's so nice. And I know you don't live far away. You're kind of up the road from me in Brisbane, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, fabulous. So you mentioned you're over there in the middle of Australia doing something for a client. Can you share with us, what is it, who do you serve, first of all, and how do you serve them?
Yep, great question. So there's a number of elements as part of our overall value proposition. We do specialize in what we would call strategic consultancy, where leadership, organizational culture, organizational transformation is kind of center in everything that we do. And normally we would have kind of an angle to it. So for this particular client, it is safety related. So we look specifically at the safety leadership components and the safety culture within the organization. Assess where they are at the current time, look at where they want to go as an organization, and then build the roadmaps together with the senior leadership team and implement the roadmap together with them as well in order to ensure that it's a sustainable impact for them and that they are reaching the final destination that they are looking for.
That sounds like a huge kind of project. Are they mostly large projects that you do with your clients?
Yeah, most definitely. So I normally work with blue chip type companies, so large multinational organizations within a variety of different industries. So it can vary from oil and gas to mining organizations through to food and beverages organizations, even healthcare and heavy manufacturing as well. So it's quite varied in terms of the types of clients that we're serving. It's usually in type of high hazardous environments where they're looking at creating the type of environment and type of culture where they can start engaging their workforce around building an organizational culture that really stands out in line with our competitors. And we do this through coaching, training modules, but also through one-on-one consultancy activities and mentoring as well.
Wow, it's exciting. And I know you've got a product that you're going to talk about as well, so to speak, but it's a service-based product. And do you want to share more about that now?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So in order to do that, I think it will be interesting to hear a little bit more about my story and why I'm doing what I'm doing, I guess. So there's basically two passions in my life that have grown from childhood all the way through to adulthood. And one is looking at mindsets and behaviors and the actual leadership and organizational culture components that make up a great organization, but also the impact that individuals have in building and creating that culture within an organization. So when I was very young, roughly about 8 years old, unfortunately, I was a witness to a very traumatic car incident where we were driving on the road to see my cousins, and it was a typical Saturday afternoon, beautiful, sunny summer's day back in Belgium, and we always had these type of family visits due to the fact that my mom has 19 siblings, so there are plenty of cousins to choose from. And on that particular day, we were going to one of my favorite cousins in order to spend the afternoon there. And we're driving along roads that we are very familiar with. And we had right of way with a number of streets coming into that actual roads that we were traveling on. And we were overtaken by a motorcycle. And basically 5 or 10 meters after this individual overtook us, a car came in from the side and clipped the motorcyclist at the back of the motorcycle. So due to the fact that it was a real nice summer's day and it was about 30 years ago now. No protective clothing, only wearing t-shirts and shorts, etc., with dramatic impact to the individual that was harmed. And when we obviously called the ambulance and the police, etc., but we also went to check on the individual's well-being. And the only thing that that motorcyclist could say at that moment in time is, "Please tell my mom it wasn't my fault." And I was very young back then, so it had a massive impact where it planted the seed in my brain to say, what triggers people to have a type of a mindset where they can just ignore certain road rules, etc., with dramatic impact to other individuals. And it really stuck with me. And when I started my career, I wanted to explore that in a little bit more detail. So I had the fortune of working with DuPont. I started my career working at DuPont, which is very well known for their safety culture within the world. And I was trained in the DuPont production system and DuPont safety system to better understand the mindsets and beliefs, but also some of the safety leadership and organizational cultural dimensions that need to be in place for individuals to make the right decisions every single moment of every single day. And when I look at the types of clients that we're serving, unfortunately, we're still seeing a high number of incidents happening on a daily basis across the industry, no matter which industry you're looking at, but especially in the heavy manufacturing and high hazardous type of industries. Not a given that every person that starts their shift will finish their shifts in the same state or the same condition as when they started. So any impact that I can have on organizations like that, on individuals working in those organizations, to truly ensure that we can make it a given for people to go back home in the same or better condition than when they came. And that's really a passion for me on the one hand. The other passion comes from my own personal career, where I had, again, been extremely fortunate to have had a number of high value mentors that transitioned my career and launched my career tremendously within the DuPont organization, but also outside of the DuPont organization. So when I started my own business back in 2014, I wanted to create an opportunity for every single individual to have a highly valuable mentoring relationship either inside or outside of their own organization, as I was directly impacted in a positive way by the value that mentoring and mentorships can have for individuals, no matter if it's inside or outside of an organization. So those two passions combined into the overall value proposition of what we're known for and what we're doing on a day-to-day basis with our clients.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I'd not heard that story before from your childhood. And it's interesting to me to hold these conversations with people. And I've noticed that quite often there's a turning point or a pivotal moment in someone's earlier journey that helps shift or change the course or create the foundations of what that person then is driven to do. And it's interesting, yours came at the age of 8. So did that really shape all the decisions you made, like through school and university as well? Did you have that still had that very clear internal vision of what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, most definitely. So very deliberate in my choices, both at university, but also within my career, to ensure that I could become an expert in kind of mindsets, beliefs, organizational culture, and leadership. Obviously, academically, it only brings you that far. So having had that experience through the DuPont organization first, but then being part of their consultancy arm before serving clients in, I would say, all the various continents in the world, has enriched me in terms of understanding the different cultures, depending on the continents in which they're working, but also the types of mindsets and social context that those individuals are living in that shape their decision making and the way in which they view the world. So that has been extremely interesting.
Yeah, what a wonderful backdrop and launch pad into your career that you had with DuPont, and you were able to have those worldly experiences, cultural experiences, and it's really lovely. At what point along your journey, and maybe this is after you started your own business, but what point, or was there a point where you said to yourself, yeah, I'm living on purpose. I'm doing what I know I'm meant to be doing?
So relatively early on, I already had a very strong purpose, and only part of that purpose I could really capture within the jobs that I had. So I had great leadership roles within global consultancy organizations in the past, but there was always a part of my own personal drive and purpose that I couldn't really find within those jobs and within those organizations. So when I started my own organization, I really wanted to make sure that it was a purpose-driven organization that encompassed each of the various elements of what I believe through my own experience, but also through my professional experience, could be extremely valuable for both organizations, but also individuals.
And what you've just said really underpins, I think, for me, the foundations of a true purpose-based business that is in alignment. And, I know from all the work that I've done with clients over the years that when someone is in alignment with their clients, the needs around them, their own purpose, and also what they do best and what brings them the joy and the meaning. And when all those things are in alignment, that's when the most impact can be made. And I think ultimately that's what we're all kind of searching for or aiming for. And it sounds like that's what you knew internally that you wanted to feel back when you were younger. You just didn't know exactly how to get there. So you just went on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, and the journey is still continuing, obviously. Every day with clients, still developing my own understanding, my own expertise, learning from clients some of the new approaches that they're trying in order to create their own purpose-driven organization and or at least become the best version of themselves. really helps me as well to refine, let's say, our own purpose and the way in which we're serving our clients. So every single day, it is a very enriching experience working directly shoulder to shoulder with senior leaders down to frontline workers and individuals, hear their stories, hear their aspirations, what is really important in their lives and what they personally value, and how much that's aligned with their organizational values as well.
I could only imagine how rewarding that would feel, being at all levels and hearing and feeling how each individual contributes to the whole, and then the vision of the senior leaders as well. And I also loved how you were very explicit then in that you are constantly learning. You know, you're learning from the companies that you're consulting to. You know, it's not often that I've heard from a consultant that they're open to learning. I don't know, is that just my own experience? Is it a bias or a stigma around consulting per se, that it's more ego driven into the corporates, and one has to carry a large ego of, you know, I know everything, and they go in, but you don't carry that.
No, thank you for noticing that. And absolutely, I think that's what sets us apart as well from a number of other consultancy organizations, where they would have certain models or certain programs that they're rehashing or repeating day in, day out, no matter what the client requires or what it is that they really would like to accomplish. We take a much more personalized and customized approach to our clients. So every single client, every single organization, every single individual that we work with obviously have their own story, and they have been on a journey to make them as successful as they currently are. Right? So they've done all these great things in the past in order to make up the organization, make up the individual, make up the leader that they are at this moment in time. But it's still extremely important, in my own opinion, to take a personalized approach, to understand some of the values, attitudes, beliefs that drives them on a day-to-day basis, but also where the organization is at this moment in time and where they want to be, so that you can tailor your approach, and you have to be adaptive, you have to be agile in your approach to best serve the clients. And for us, that's absolutely number one. We want to stay true to our own purpose, obviously. Luckily for us, it's built into our purpose to provide this type of service to our clients. And it's very uncommon, absolutely, to see that from a large number of other consultancy companies out there.
It's so refreshing, Dave. What do you think your superpower is?
Great question. I think for me individually, or as a company, I think for me individually, being personable, being open to learning, um, not being the kind of fountain of all knowledge. Yes, we have a lot of knowledge, we have a lot of expertise, we know lots and lots of best practices that we have seen over the years and have been part of implementing or creating together with organizations and clients in the past. It's being open, personable, and agile to ensure that organizations and individual leaders that are running organizations are heard, that you can capture the essence of who they are, where they want to be, and to help and support them in the best possible way. So it's, I would say, adapting, or yeah, definitely adapting to the individuals and the organizations that you work with is what I would see as my own superpower. On the other hand, the passions that drive me and the kind of rewarding feeling that I'm getting on a day-to-day basis working with individuals like this and seeing the change from the start of the engagement to halfway through or towards the end of the implementation, it's mind-boggling. So we're hardly ever engaged with clients on a short-term basis. So it's normally longer type of engagements where you can truly see the evolution that either the individual or the organization has made over time. That's extremely rewarding for me.
It's so refreshing to hear you say all of that, and I can imagine how rewarding it is for the organizations that you work with as well. It's great.
So that leads me to my next question, Dave. What would you like to be known for?
I would love to be known for someone who is passionate about what they're doing, is knowledgeable about the various areas that we are involved in as part of our consultancy and other types of services that we are providing, that we're seen as a thought leader in some of these areas, where we can shape better cultures, shape better organizations, and ultimately shape a better world for everyone out there. I would love to be known for that.
Well, it sounds like you're certainly on the path to doing that. I'd love to segue across and focus more into mentoring. You mentioned that was a big part of your career and the growth of who you are today, starting at DuPont. Why is mentoring so important to you?
Great question. So mentoring provides for me a kind of a fast track, a sounding board that you don't really find anywhere else in organizations or outside of an organization. And taking that kind of continuous learning approach that I mentioned earlier, for me, it's really important to learn from individuals that have experience in those areas without having to go through the very painstaking journey, sometimes with lots and lots of pitfalls, falling down, getting up, and trying again until you have found the right approaches. So mentors at any stage within either their personal or professional life can be extremely valuable to provide you with not just the expertise, not just the journey that they have gone through, but also some tips and tricks to ensure that you can grow as an individual, so to build the type of person that you really want to become. That's outside of your direct responsibility as a leader or as an individual within an organization or the job that you have currently. Who is it that you truly want to become as an individual, as a person, where mentorship can be extremely valuable and value adding to ensure that you can become that person in the shortest amount of time, but also with the best possible guidance that someone can offer without having a hidden agenda, right? So within organizations, it can sometimes be that people have hidden agendas, especially if they're part of your team or they're your direct leader, for example. It can be that they're trying to steer you towards the type of performance or the type of individual they want you to become, which is great and has absolutely its merit. But looking internally and reflecting on who you want to become and having someone outside of your direct line responsibility looking after you to your best interest and helping you to become that person is absolutely been extremely beneficial to me. And a lot of research out there mentions that mentoring not just increases the retention rate of individuals within organizations, but also that they become way better professionals, way better leaders, and that there is a seven-fold increase in how fast they can grow the corporate ladder and become the type of leader that you as an organization or you as an individual truly want to become. So I can talk about the benefits of mentoring for hours and days. I'm very, very passionate about it, but hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Absolutely. Seven times a sevenfold increase. That's incredible.
Yes, most definitely. And it's I'm a living example of that as well, right? So before I was 30, I was a regional director for a global consultancy company. So it's due to mentoring, partly, obviously, I guess some skill and some talent are part of that as well. I absolutely see the mentoring relationships that I've had that have fast tracked that progression and that rise to the top.
Is it something only for people in large organizations?
The traditional approach that was taken and is still being taken by a lot of companies, yes, is the short answer to that. So as an individual, you might get lucky and might have the experience that I've had within the DuPont organization, but also in other organizations that I've worked with. I've taken the liberty to have some outside mentors as part of my personal development. So not coaches, mentors that truly helped me. But traditionally, only organizations that saw the value of mentoring were implementing a program like that, where I truly wanted to create an opportunity for every single individual to have a chance or have a highly valuable mentor as part of their own personal development. And that's one of the key reasons why we have built Skillflow as one of our product offerings, our service offering, that is now part of our overall value proposition.
Fabulous. So when did you come up with the idea for Skillflow?
I would say relatively early on, as soon as I had the personal experience through organizations that I've worked with, but also by talking to other organizations, talking to my clients, talking to senior leaders, etc., and the journey that they have gone on, where it became very clear that those type of leaders that had mentoring relationships in the past within their own organization were definitely a lot more successful than some of the other leaders that I've worked with that unfortunately did not have that opportunity. For myself, created the kind of question to say, I wonder why that is, and is there anything that we can do or I can do at that moment in time, which was back in the 2000s, I would say, in order to help and support these people more. The component of the value proposition or why we are the purpose-driven organization that we are, that's exactly what I was talking about when I said, I can absolutely look at my own passions and how I am able to support and add value to my clients on the leadership, organizational culture, mindsets, and beliefs elements. However, there's not such a offering out there that can provide mentorship solutions or highly valuable mentoring relationships to individuals or to organizations that currently don't have mentoring programs or mentoring initiatives in place. And traditionally, it was done by HR organizations, right? So HR departments within organizations that were the driving force of any kind of mentoring program within organizations without having a clear standard or a clear follow through or a clear system to ensure that the program was effective, but also that people got the most beneficial relationship as part of the program. And in addition to that, if you're new to the organization, let's say, and you have been extremely lucky, so the organization is offering a mentoring program, the HR department would link you, for example, if you're new to the organization, welcome to company ABC. We would like to introduce our mentoring program to you. And as part of that, we have linked you up with a very nice, very experienced leader within our business, right? And sometimes it works a treat. So you get the type of mentoring relationship and the type of mentoring benefits that you're looking for. But sometimes it doesn't really match too well. It's not the right match from an experience perspective, from a skills perspective, from an aspirations perspective, or from a personality perspective. So what do you do when you're new in an organization and you're being paired with a very experienced individual with a high reputation within an organization? Would you go back to your direct leader or to your HR department and say, unfortunately, this is not the right match for me. Can I please have another mentor? So what will happen in most cases is that the relationship will die out. So initially, they will be very nice to each other and they will meet still regularly in order to discuss aspirations and where you want to go. But over time, you can see the benefits and the effectiveness of the relationship going down tremendously. So that was one of the other elements that I did notice within organizations that did have mentoring programs, that it wasn't really well run or having the kind of traction that I would love to see either within an organization or at least to provide the value that the individual is looking for within a mentoring relationship. So therefore, building Skillflow and developing Skillflow and implementing Skillflow has been very rewarding from that angle as well, where we're looking at still working very closely with organizations to implement their program, if it is within an organization, but ensuring that the effectiveness and that the individual is 100% central to the success of the overall program, with a number of follow-ups and a number of key tips and tricks to ensure that they can get the most out of the relationship that they're looking for.
I can see how passionate you are.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, I've worked in corporate before, and when you were just giving the example there, my mind went back to when I was in corporate, and I thought, hang on, was I offered a mentor? No, but I kind of had an informal mentor, one that just happened naturally and helped me on that journey. And I like you, I think I was lucky that it happened. So for those 5 years that I was at that organization, there was someone there, and I must admit it was like having a safety net, someone that had your back when you were in these new situations, and it made the journey so much more easy, comfortable, but also rewarding. And I think it helped me become a better version of myself in that role. But I've not seen, and certainly the experiences I had in corporate Australia, I wasn't, privy to any kind of mentoring program, a formal one. And I know they exist here and there, but do you see that organizations sort of see it as a bit of it's only for the very top layer of the organizational structure? Is it, only for those special ones that are tapped on the shoulder? How do what do you see as the norm, and what are the issues around that?
So one of the issues I can see where not every organization is implementing a mentoring program at this moment in time is due to the fact that they might have had hit and miss type of experiences in the past. Right? As I mentioned before, some individuals like yourself, like myself, have had great experiences with mentoring. And if they move to other organizations, they would hope to implement or encounter a similar program in their new organization. For other individuals that don't have that type of experience, it might be harder for them to become a true advocate or supporter for the more traditional type of mentoring. So one of the key benefits of the Skillflow service that we're offering is that we are providing an enhanced type of service from a mentoring perspective, where the level of effectiveness and the level of success of implementing these programs within those organizations have been a lot higher than the traditional form. Yes, we're still working with key leaders and HR departments, etc., but we ensure that at each stage throughout the mentoring relationships, that we're keeping track of how effective the relationships are, how often they're meeting each other, how well certain mentoring goals and mentoring aspirations are being defined to get the most out of the mentoring relationship, but also that it's clear for the mentor what the mentee is actually looking for. So that's one key element. And the other key element is that even outside of organizations, if you as an individual are looking for, as you mentioned, an informal mentor, you have to get lucky, right? Or you need to know somebody that has had a great experience with person X, Y, or Z. And if you're not that lucky, then unfortunately, the offering, or at least the resource to find someone like that, can be quite overwhelming, hard to find, right? Really, really hard to find. So that's another area that we absolutely want to focus on, depending on your own aspirations, who you want to become, and what's important to you as an individual. That even if the organization that you work for don't offer it, that you still have a pathway that you can follow to find the right mentor for yourself within what we would call specific verticals. So it can be women in mentoring, it can be reverse mentoring, it can be leaders in transition or transformational leadership, transformational organizations, for example, where the mentors that are linked to those verticals absolutely have, one, the knowledge, but also the expertise and the experience that they're more than willing and able to share with those individuals that are looking for those type of mentorship opportunities as well.
So interesting. And it sounds incredibly detailed and constructive. The way you're speaking about it, I can only imagine that would be very attractive to a large organization, right? Because what they've had in the past is kind of, like you said, a bit hit and miss. It's a bit of a checkbox exercise or something very rudimentary, whereas you've got something, by the sounds of it, that is very detailed, comprehensive, and it allows someone to have that mentoring relationship outside of just the norm, the standard process, or the old way of doing things. Would that be right?
Yes, most definitely. And if, in addition to that, if you're looking at the cost of people leaving your organization due to the fact that they either don't feel a strong alignment between the personal values and the organizational values, but also that there are no programs to help develop the individual through mentoring, for example. Lots and lots of research out there that mentions that if somebody leaves, then you have to hire somebody new. It will be up to 2, sometimes 3 times their annual salary in order to replace somebody in the business, right? So it's mind-boggling if you're looking at the types of salaries currently here in Australia, what the cost is to the business by people actually leaving for reasons that could have been avoided, right? So certain people leave for totally different reasons. But if you can avoid certain people leaving due to the fact that you have a highly effective mentorship program in place and other leadership and cultural programs in place to ensure that the alignment between the person and the organization is a lot tighter, you'll see a lot of benefits from that.
It's so interesting. I find it fascinating. So how long has Skillflow been available?
So we've gone through a number of different stages and testing to ensure that the overall value proposition, the overall offering, is aligned with exactly what we, from our own organizational perspective, would see as the right fit for organizations, and is providing the types of benefits that I was just talking about. And so it's fully available for organizations and associations at the moment. We're still developing and continue to build the verticals that I spoke about as well by having the right source or the right number of mentors with those capabilities within those verticals to ensure that mentees that come in or individuals that come into those verticals have a wide choice of the available mentors that are there. So that's still a little bit work in progress at the moment. But from an organizational perspective, it has been tested and proven to work extremely effectively for those organizations that have adopted it so far.
Nice. And what's been the feedback and the results that you've experienced so far with organizations using the platform?
Great new way of looking at mentoring. On the one hand, the benefits of the overall system have been very, very good. So appreciated by not just the people leading the program or overlooking the program, overseeing the program, but also the individuals that are part of the program itself. So the individual workers, employees, leaders are seeing it as like a number of levels above some of the experiences that they've had in the past, where now everything is consolidated within the one system and it flows through the overall mentoring journey to ensure that they are able to look at the right mentors for themselves based on a number of different criteria that is built into the system to ensure that the match or the possible match is as high as possible. It's still the choice of the individual which mentor they would like to choose themselves. But the system is providing them at least with some guidance in terms of how closely aligned they would be and how likely it will be a successful relationship with that particular individual or not. In addition to that, the fact that they can now define their own goals within the system, they can track the goals, they can set up sessions with their mentors, even if they're on the other side of the world, right? So traditionally, it was more of a one-on-one, in-person type relationship where you would meet for coffee or lunch and discuss certain mentoring goals that you might have, and was a little bit hit and miss in that regard as well. Where now we've opened it up to a much wider possible audience for you to choose from, so that you can also, for example, get a mentor with a totally different cultural background from yourself, if that is one of the areas that you would like to focus on, where it was a lot harder to find those individuals within close proximity of where you live or where you work.
I'm listening to your answers, Dave, and I had a bunch of questions as we've gone along, and you've answered the questions before I've even asked them. There's so many benefits, and it's clearly, it sounds to me like Skillflow is very innovative with its matching and the way that it has everything in a platform, and it allows people to store the interactions and the goals and the sessions and all those kinds of things. Is that right? Has this kind of technology been around? Is it in existence somewhere else, or what you've got created with Skillflow quite unique?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely quite unique. We've built the system based on my own vision in terms of what I wanted to create and the value that I wanted to create for the user. Has absolutely gone through an incredible journey from start to finish, and obviously it still continues to be developed, etc. Including or incorporating some of the new benefits, new features, new areas that would be beneficial for mentees or for mentors that are part of the overall system. In essence, what the system has incorporated so far is absolutely providing way more value than any traditional mentoring program could ever offer, which is kind of pleasing to see. Obviously, that was one of our key drivers, especially initially. However, we're always interested in the feedback of the users, of the organizations, to ensure that the system provides exactly the right benefits and the right areas to focus on for both the individual and the organization.
It's great. So tell me, what's the vision for Skillflow, say, in the next 5 years?
The overall vision is that we can truly shape a better world out there by providing highly valuable mentoring relationships to anyone out there that is looking for a highly valuable mentor, and that we would have ensured that organizations worldwide, not just in Australia, not just in Europe, because I also have a business in Europe, is an overall across each of the various continents, that organizations see the true value that mentoring can provide, how it can provide that particular value, and to offer this to every employee, not just to the top tier, not just to the high potentials, but across the board, because we are seeing lots and lots of benefits and value as part of offering this to a wider range of individuals within the organization. And there's a lot of research out there that absolutely underpins this as well. So that's what I'm hoping for, that we can be a global player where we're absolutely market leading, ensuring from an effectiveness perspective that we are providing the type of value, and that mentoring becomes a way in which purpose-driven organizations are seeing that as an essential service to offer, or an essential program to offer to everyone within the organization, due to the fact that they can see the value for it. That would be lovely. The more hearts and minds that we can conquer in that regard, the better it will be, especially as it's so beneficial for individuals and professionals alike.
I'm excited for you. What an exciting vision to have, and I love the passion and the purpose that you've blended together, Dave, to create Skillflow, to do the work that you're doing with these organizations. It's wonderful. We have to wrap up, but I just wanted to ask: how can people get in touch with you?
definitely feel free to offer my own personal details. I'm very open to communicate with people that are interested in what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how it can add value to themselves or their organizations. So feel free to offer my own personal details. There will also be an email address which is linked to our own organization so that somebody can respond within a short period of time to exactly the questions that you would love to see answered. But I'm more than happy to have that personal relationship and build that personal relationship with you out there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have your details. They should be all in the show notes below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or below the audio if you're listening to the podcast. So yeah, all those contact details will be there. Dave, final question for you. What is it? Can you give us a final parting tidbit or a gold nugget for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the misconceptions of mentoring is that you need to be old, right? You need to be very experienced. You need to have at least 30, 40 years experience in order to become or be the right mentor for anyone. So a lot of people have this kind of hesitation saying, am I good enough to be a mentor? So exactly to your question earlier, what is my superpower? How can I impart my own superpower to other people that don't have that superpower but would love to get close to becoming better and better and closer to what my own superpower is? Anything that you are able to impart with other individuals that are interested in building and developing those skills. Doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, etc. You can become a mentor at every single stage within your personal and professional life. And you're absolutely able to add so much value to other individuals that are extremely eager to develop similar kind of experiences and skills that you have. I would say anyone can become one. Feel free to join us at any days of your life, for sure.
So they can join the Skillflow platform and register as a mentor. Is that what you're saying?
Most definitely. Yep. Either as a mentor, as a mentee, or both a mentee and a mentor, if you still want to continue your own development and impart your knowledge and expertise and experience with others, for sure.
I love that in so many ways. And the takeaway there is that you can be any age. There's no set age. You don't have to be this old person with grey hair, a long white beard to be a mentor. Anyone can be a mentor.
Absolutely.
Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm really encouraged by the work that you do, the light that you shine in the world, and how you approach every day and your clients and the changes that you want to make. And it's people like you that really do help make the world a better place. So thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.